And welcome to another edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan. Thank you for listening and supporting Spits and Suds. We go to Edmonton to talk to our friend. She is a terrific insider for the Dallas Morning News. She is Lia Assimakopoulos. How are you today, live from Edmonton?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I felt like I was on a Six Flags ride last night, to be honest with you.
Seriously, I know that was quite the game to watch, but they got it done.
Have you ever dove, Leah, into, because Sean and I on the podcast talk all the time about the Stars' slow starts and why does it continue to happen, whether it's a game one or whether it's a period number one. I guess the bottom line is they end up winning series and they end up finishing strong in the third and they end up winning the games, but it is unique that they cannot get off to good starts.
Yeah, it is. And it's not unique to the playoffs. It's not something that we're just seeing this year. I think Pete DeBoer has even said that's something that has been an issue here from before he arrived, and it doesn't really seem like they've been able to find an answer for it. Towards the end of the regular season, I asked him about it a couple times because the Stars, I think, tied or set a franchise record this year for most comeback wins, and he said, "I see that as our team is, yes, very resilient and able to respond, but at the same time, why are we putting ourselves in so many situations like that we need to come back?" So I think that was an issue in the Vegas series. They didn't really face that as much in the Colorado series, but we're seeing it again here in the conference final. And after they went down 1-0 in the series, I think there was a lot of discussion of, is this it? Is this the last time they're going to go down, 0-1 and they're not going to be able to come back? And they have, but you got to think at some point they can't keep doing this to themselves, and they can't keep doing this to Ottinger in the first period
Yeah,
either.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, take us in the room after the game. What was the feeling from the boys? Did they feel like they, business as usual? Did they feel like they grabbed one? What was kind of the vibe in the locker room?
No, they definitely didn't feel like they stole one in that. I think the what stood out to me the most is they said that even after that first period, there was no panic at all. They kind of went into the locker room. It wasn't like, they needed this inspiring intermission speech to get them to come out and have a different period in the second. They felt like they, could come out in the second, get to their game, and that's exactly what they did. And I think that's one of the things about this team that is most dangerous is they can be, down 0-2, play maybe their worst period of the playoffs, and then play maybe their best after a 15-minute intermission. So I think that that's what stood out to me. I think just like the first two rounds, they feel like they're the better team when they play their game the way that they should. And Jason Robertson said a quote that kind of stood out to me, saying, we know that if we do what it takes, we can win this. We can really win it all. So I think there's just a lot of confidence knowing that if they control what they can control, then they can go very far here, and it doesn't really matter what Edmonton does. So I think they were happy for Robo last night, and I think it was a good win all around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned in the post game I wanted to give a stick tap to Pete DeBoer because, it was kind of talked about, but the move of moving Tyler Seguin into that position with Robertson and Hintz, I thought was really effective. Because although Pavelski has been struggling, you could make the argument if you're Pete DeBoer, hey, we're going to get him going. We got that number one line, which was one of the tops in hockey. We're going to reunite them, and we think that's the plan. And I think most people would say, oh, okay, that makes sense.
For sure. I completely agree with that. I think I've been really impressed to see the almost the risks that Pete has taken in the postseason, because he's a guy that likes to stick to his guns, and he doesn't really change, at least in the regular season, his lines too much unless he has to after a really bad loss or an injury or whatever. But he's been experimenting a lot more in the playoffs, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. But last night it was great, and it would have been very easy to say, "Oh, we've got everybody back. Let's go back to what we're used to." Edmonton hasn't yet seen our top line that has had so much success over the last few seasons. But you see the speed on that line when you have Hintz back there, and I think he's he's a player that just makes everyone else better. And Pavelski's going through whatever he's going through. Maybe he would have had success on that line as well, but I don't think he's been doing too terribly with Marchment and Duchesne either. I kind
Yeah.
of like them together. So whatever DeBoer has been drawing up has been working. So I liked to see that as well last night. I thought that was a great move.
A lot of chatter on social media about the Mason Marchment embellishment penalty. Was there chatter amongst the media there in Edmonton, and any chatter in the room about it?
Yeah, we actually didn't talk about it too much. I didn't realize how, I mean, I saw it and I knew it was not a great call. I think it was more something that was discussed on the broadcast and back in Dallas.
Yeah.
I I think the goaltender interference call on Duchesne in game 6, when that's deciding a series, that gets a lot more attention
Yeah.
here. No one scored in that 4-on-4. It was at the end of a period. Was it a good call? No, but the embellishment call is one that I don't totally understand. For
Yeah.
me, especially with something like cross-checking or tripping, you were either cross-checked or you were tripped or you weren't. Yes,
Yeah.
you could maybe fall in a more embellished way, but that was a clear cross-checking call, and what was he supposed to do? Not fall?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think they really cared too much, and if that was the play that causes them to lose the game, then I'm sure it would have been a topic of discussion. But it's not the first time Mason Marchment has
Yes.
gotten the wrong end on a play like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Been called for several embellishments throughout the year. Okay. Let's flip to the other side. Thoughts on Edmonton and where they go from here. I just brought it up yesterday, and it's nothing against, the current goaltending situation, but you have limited moves in which you can make in hockey. And I think Skinner's playing really, really well, but I'm interested to see if they do what they did last season and maybe throw Pickard in for a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be an interesting thought. I mean, I think Skinner's been great.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people gave him a hard time for that last Jason Robertson goal, but I mean, I personally think that that's less of a goaltender error and more of Jason Robertson's an elite scorer and knows how
Agreed.
to perfectly place the puck off his skate to bounce it off his pad. I mean, that was, as Tyler Sagan said it, that was a Jason Robertson goal. Like, not many players are going to score that goal. So yeah, sure, you can blame Skinner, but I, I don't know. I don't think it's just like I saw people getting down on Jake after the first period. Those goals weren't Jake's fault.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe they make a change to try to, boost something, but I I don't know. I think Edmonton, when Edmonton has been on, we've seen how dangerous they can be. I mean, they've got some of the best players in the world, the best player in the world, and McDavid had a great first period last night. So I I think the goaltending situation is certainly an interesting one, but I don't think there's any panic for the Oilers either. They've, maybe through that first period last night, maybe they outplayed the Stars through the first 2 games in the first period in the series, and Dallas just managed to turn it on. But it does feel like a pretty evenly matched series to me right now, and not one that either team needs to panic in.
You've done such an outstanding job, both home and going on the road with the Stars through the run against Vegas, against Avs, Edmonton. Still a long way to go, hopefully. But is there anything you've seen and learned from this run about this team?
Hmm. A
L-
lot.
Yeah, I mean the thing,
Yeah.
the word that comes up is resilience a lot.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, you know, when when they went down 0-2 in that Vegas series, I really thought it was going to be one of those years of they had a great regular season and that's it. And I think after that they went down 0-2, you could feel in the locker room they were very upset. Like, going down 0-1, and when they lose a game here and there, it doesn't really impact them, but when they were in that hole, you could tell they kind of lit a fire for them. And I think, besides that one situation, they've been so level-headed through the playoffs. Like, they've, lost a couple clinching games and they haven't let it phase them for the next game. They've, all been very resilient. Jake's been resilient as he is throughout his playoff career. So, I mean, I think that's what it takes to be a championship winning team, to not get too high or get too low, and be able to just kind of roll with the punches of a series. You're not going to sweep every round in the playoffs. And, the way that they've been able to respond after, losing a crushing double overtime game in the way they did in game one and responding in game two, that's probably what's stuck out to me the most about the team. And probably I think what could be the differentiating factor if they can go another round and,
Yeah.
possibly do
I'm
this
interested
thing.
as you spend more time up there. Vegas loves their hockey. Colorado
Yeah.
loves their hockey. I look at Edmonton, it's a lifestyle.
Oh, it was incredible to watch last night.
Yeah.
I've actually never been to a hockey game in Canada before. This is my first time, and you can tell they're Edmonton. It's a beautiful city, but it seems like hockey is the thing to do here. That is kind of it all. So, I mean, it was from the start. The fans were singing, the Canadian national anthem, like a cappella version. It was just like so much excitement and passion when they scored 2 minutes into the game. I mean, the place went crazy, and you could also feel every time Jason Robertson scored, it just took the life out of the building. But it's a beautiful stadium, and definitely no better place to watch a hockey game. Just like I mean, American Airlines has been
Yeah.
awesome during playoffs as well. I think playoff hockey is an atmosphere that is kind of tough to match.
Are you expecting to get any kind of update on Jani Hakanpaa today?
So I don't believe he came on this road
Yeah.
trip. We'll probably ask about him, but it seems like he's been day to day for like 3 months at this point. So I think yeah, he's skating. So I imagine that it's kind of like what DeBoer has said with the Hint situation of they probably don't feel like they need to rush him back because besides a few plays here and there, I think Petrovic's done a pretty decent job coming in and
Really
into the
nice.
lineup. So I imagine they would love to have Hakanpaa back, but it might not be till the finals. I don't really know. He still hasn't been a part of any sort of team practice or team skate. So I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, it seems like the talk of that third pairing has kind of quieted down since Petrovic has been in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was game one of this series. Maybe it was game two. One of the earlier games, he was probably responsible for one of those rebound goals that he was Connor Brown's goal. So he's had his moments, but I think he's been what they've needed. I think a lot of in the on in this playoff run, there was a lot of chatter of, man, if Joel Hanley was still around here, you
Yeah.
just kind of need a guy who's going to go in there and just do his job and not cause any drama. And I think Petrovic has kind of filled in that same way. And Ryan Suter's been so strong in this playoff run that they've complemented each other well, and Petrovic's taken some minutes off guys like Miro and Tanev, who played 30 some minutes in the Colorado series when those games went to overtime. So I think it's been a success. They like his size and his physicality, so it's working for them. And as we've seen all playoffs, don't mess with a good thing.
Yeah. So Pete DeBoer comes out and he talks about how good the team is on the road and loves their bounce back ability. 6-1 now in the playoffs. But there's a calmness about Pete DeBoer that I absolutely love. But what I haven't heard really is why are they so good on the road and why are they so much better on the road than at home? Have you found any insight regarding that?
So they've attributed it to the simplicity of the game on the road, which they look at it as, there's less distractions. We just go on the road. We simplify everything, and that leads to success. That makes me wonder, well, why can't you do that at home as well?
Yeah.
But it was the same thing in the regular season. Maybe the record wasn't as jarring, but the goals against were. I mean, the goals against were way fewer on the road than at home. And um, I I don't think that I think if they had an answer for what the success was on the road, they would translate it to their home record. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's great they've been able to do what they have on the road, but they do have home ice advantage in basically all three of these rounds. So they are going to have to start to figure it out at home. They might not next round if they advance and they play New York. That would be the only situation, but it's a weird phenomenon. But yeah, they've been pretty flawless on the road. It's been pretty impressive to watch.
Well, you are impressive as well. Thank you for carving out some time. I know you have to get to the press conferences today and learn the latest information, and I would encourage all Spits and Suds listeners to follow Lia Assimakopoulos at Lassimak, Lassimak, and we'll be sure to retweet this interview as well. Keep up the great work, Lia. Really enjoy your coverage. Thank you so much for what you're giving DFW sports fans regarding this Stars run.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's been another edition of Spits and Suds. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow after the game in Edmonton. We'll see you then on Spits and Suds.